Hey everyone, it's me Vanessa and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing a DIY project, and this one I'm going to be showing you how to make your own skating soakers. So otherwise known as soft guards for your figure skates or your hockey skates. So for this tutorial, what you're going to need is fabric, of course. You're going to need some terry cloth or like a towel fabric. And then that's going to be your inside layer, and then you're also going to need a fabric. It could be like any kind of decorative fabric to go on the outside, as well as you're going to need some elastic. And I'm going to be using my sewing machine for this, so I'm going to use my sewing machine and my serger. You can hand sew this as well if you want to and you don't have like access to a sewing machine. So one thing I would suggest before you start sewing, whatever towel you're using, especially if it's a darker color like this, I would suggest that you wash it first before you start sewing it, and definitely before you use it, just because with certain colors, especially like dark colors, the color can transfer kind of like onto your skates when your skates, the blades are wet. So just to make sure everything's good, I definitely highly suggest you wash especially the towels before you sew. So this is the other pair of soakers that I'm going to be making. So I actually got this fabric from Dollarama. It was tuna pack for $2.50. So you get this pink fabric as well as, well, you get this towel as well as this towel. And for this pair of soakers, I'm going to be using both towels. I would suggest that you buy like hand towels, and you're basically just going to fold it in half and cut it across the long edge. So this part of the video got cut off, so I'm just going to be drawing out these steps. So you're going to, like I mentioned, you're going to need two pieces of fabric. The inner fabric, which needs to be a towel or terry cloth, and like I mentioned, I recommend getting a hand towel. Because the dimensions are going to be right for you to use, as well as the outer fabric, which is going to be your decorative fabric. It can be another towel, or it could be any kind of decorative fabric. I'm using two microfiber towels, just because they came in a pack of two, and the outer fabric for mine, the fabric that has the pattern on it, it's not as heavy, so that's what I'm using for mine. So basically each piece you're going to cut in half lengthwise, so along the long edge. So my measurements, my fabric, my towels before I cut them out were 25 inches by 15 inches. So once you cut that in half, you're going to have your 4 pieces, 2 pieces for your outer and 2 pieces for your inner. You're going to place each on top of each other, one outer piece on top of the inner piece, wrong sides facing, and then you're going to sew the seams along the long edge. So I just did a 1/2 inch seam allowance along each edge. So once you're done that, you're going to have 2 pieces for each skate. So the final measurements for me were 25 inches by 7.5 inches. Depending on the size of your hand towels, yours might be a little longer or a little smaller. If it's a little smaller, that's fine. You're just going to use less elastic. And if yours is bigger than this, as long as it's not too big, it should be fine. You can always just cut it down. Just because you don't want it to be too big, especially if you are sewing skates of a smaller size, so like kids skates, you're going to want to adjust these measurements a little bit depending on how big your skates are. I'm just using adult skates, so the normal size for hand towels was fine. So this side is going to be my the side that my skate, the inside, the side that my skate will touch, and this side will be the outside or the decorative edge. So when you're sewing this, you want to put the right sides together so that the kind of softer side for the towel, the side you want showing, that's going to be on the inside, and then the decorative side, that's also going to be on the inside. So the right sides are together, and you're going to sew it with the wrong sides facing. And then once you're done that, and then you're going to be ready to attach the elastic. I would suggest you iron the edges out just so that they're all flat, because it is a little bulky, as well as so it's not moving around while you're sewing. And you're going to sew the elastic to the inside part of the soaker. So the elastic is going to go on this side for me. So basically, whatever elastic you're using, you're going to take it, cut it down to the length you need, and then sew it all the way to the edge on this side and this side. And for my elastic, I'm just using an elastic that is about 1 centimeter wide. You can use an elastic as wide as you want. I would kind of suggest doing something more so at the middle, just because I think that's kind of best for when you're sewing it along the edges. It's not too thick where you don't have enough space, or too small where it feels like it might snap or it won't really give that much of a ruffle, especially with how wide and long this fabric is. So once you've gotten to this point where you've sewed both edges, you're going to keep the fabric with right sides facing. So you want the wrong sides to be facing out and the right sides of the fabric to be facing in. Basically the same order, the same way you sewed it. You're going to keep it like this, and then you're going to attach the elastic. So I just have my skates up there. So basically for the elastic, what I did was I measured out my blades. So I just measured out my blades like that. And the number I got while measuring this, I know like my arm is blocking the camera, but I got 33 centimeters. So with my elastic, because the elastic does stretch, I'm not going to cut it at exactly 33. I'm going to do 2 inches or 5 centimeters less than 33 centimeters. So basically, instead of it, the elastic piece I'm going to cut, instead of it being 33, I'm going to cut it at 28. So that's 2 inches shorter or 5 centimeters shorter. And what you do is kind of going to depend on how stretchy your elastic is. So what I would suggest is you measure your elastic out at 33 inches, and then you kind of stretch it to see how much it can stretch out, and then try it with that 5 centimeters less than the actual length of your blade. Stretch it out and make sure it can cover the whole width of the fabric. So basically, if you follow my math to get the length of your elastic, you're going to want to stretch it along the end and make sure it makes it all the way from end to end. If it doesn't, you might need to add a little bit more. If you find that your elastic maybe doesn't stretch very much, you can always cut down and make it a little shorter, so you could take off like another 2 centimeters or so. Really just test it out before you sew, and you should be fine. And basically you're going to do that for both sides of your fabric. It doesn't matter if you sew it to whatever side, as long as you're sewing it on the wrong side. So I just sewed one side of the skate soaker. So that's kind of what it looks like. And I'm going to do another elastic on this side as well. But that's just a close-up. And then what the other side looks like. So as you can see, I have sewn the elastic on both sides. And that's just what the other side looks like. So now you're going to turn it so the right sides are facing out. So it looks like this. And basically now, for each end, you're going to take it, open it up like this, and then you're going to fold it and sew along this edge. So you want this side, the decorative side that you want on the outside, you want to fold that so it's inside. Because once you sew this, you're going to flip it, and this side will be on the outside. So you're going to do that with both ends. So this end as well. Fold it, you can pin it, and you're just going to take it to the machine and sew along here. And also just be careful because this end when you're sewing it, it is going to be a bit thick. So just take your time when you're sewing so you're not like breaking any needles. So I just finished sewing both of these ends, and once you've done that, all you have to do is flip it. And that's what your soakers look like. So I just have the other pair on my blades here, on my skates, and that's what they look like. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. It's really easy to do, so hopefully this tutorial was really easy to follow. If you have any questions, you can leave them down in the comments below, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!